I apologize in advance, this is going to be a long one. I cheated on my BF of 3 years. Some background on our relationship: my boyfriend and I met during the worst year of my life. We met around the time my mother was diagnosed with cancer. The year that ensued consisted of my having to drop out of school, quit my job, and become her primary caregiver. My dad decided to leave at this time. They were still married, but they had a hateful relationship all my life. My boyfriend stuck around like the amazing person he is. I was a mess. Always angry at the world, heartbroken, the whole shebang. I had no business being in a relationship at the time. I tried breaking up with him several times due to my emotional turmoil. I felt a lot of guilt that he was experiencing this with me when he didn't have to. Fast forward, my mom passed away a year after her diagnosis. 2 weeks after, my dad kicked me out of the house and I moved in with my boyfriend. Entering the second year of our relationship, I was obviously deep in grief. He would often wake me up from nightmares where I was screaming and crying. This happened for about the entire second year of our relationship. Entering the third year of the relationship, I started feeling better. I got into therapy after being put on a 9-month wait list. I started working again and doing things that provided me peace. I had gone back to school at this time. I graduated in the summer of 2023 after doing an abroad internship for 2 months, then I traveled for 1 month for leisure before coming home. I slipped into a deep depression while abroad, probably slept for 3 weeks straight at one point. I decided to continue my internship in another country to try to counteract my depression. I went about trying to find my peace again through my episode. It helped, but then I had a conversation with my a-hole dad. Some details: it was extremely emotional for me. He met another woman in another country and was starting a life in another country. I have severe abandonment issues, and hearing this triggered that all over again. My dad emotionally abandoned me all my life. My mom abandoned me, although not her fault or choice, along with other things unrelated to this story. Why would my dad rather start another relationship and not mend the one with his daughter? Was I not worth it? I'm a good person, successful in many ways, and have always tried offering olive branches to him to allow us the opportunity to have a relationship in any way. He told me he knew for a long time that he had an immature personality disorder with schizophrenic tendencies. I never knew this. I was devastated by the whole conversation. Not to mention my mom's second death anniversary was days away. I was a shell once again and reliving ugly grief and feelings of unworthiness. I cried all night. The next day, an old coworker messaged me. He was always flirtatious with everyone at work. It was honestly not something I was worried about or felt disrespected by because he was just like that, but the conversation went from saying what's up to basically sexting. I didn't send any pictures or, like traditional sexting, say what I would do or want to do or whatnot. It was more of the LOL okay type of situation or the sarcastic wow it's bigger than I thought put down about one DCK pic he sent. He did most of the talking honestly, but I didn't stop the conversation or say no. I continued to entertain it mostly because I was bored in the airport. At the time, I felt really numb to the conversation I was having. It lasted about 1 hour in total, 2 separate conversations, because I had to get on the plane. The second conversation though, at the end, I told him that I had a boyfriend and I loved him very much. He was the love of my life. He replied along the lines of, well, when y'all break up though? I told him he wished I loved my boyfriend and I planned on marrying him. He responded something similar to, yeah, my bad, I was just bored and lonely and mentioned he was looking for a girlfriend and sorry basically. Out of pity, I told him that he was a great guy, that he would find someone good for him, and that I'd date him, again, something that I 100% did not mean seriously. But something said out of kindness and pity. I'd worked with him for like 3 years or so I did sort of know him, and he wasn't a bad person. I was and am in no way attracted to this guy, to be clear. It was fucked up. All of it. I regretted it. I felt like that snapped me back to reality, and with a clear head, I knew I fucked up. I was going home in 3 weeks. I hadn't decided how I would tell my boyfriend or if I should tell him. I kept the conversation on my phone in the hopes of talking to my boyfriend about it. Fast forward, I got home. 2 days in, I was just so happy to be home. I love this goddamn man, I really do. I still didn't know how I was going to bring it up, but I knew we needed to talk. That night, my BF went through my phone and found it. I noticed he was out of bed in the middle of the night and went to go find him, not thinking much. I was sitting at the dining room table. He asked me, "What is this?" His face broke my heart. I sat down slowly and I said, "I know what you're looking at, we need to talk." We went into the bedroom to have this conversation. I was open and honest about everything. I knew that if this was going to work, everything needed to be on the table. It was heartbreaking for both of us. We are strictly monogamous people. I didn't think I was capable of doing this, let alone to him. He tried breaking up with me, but I begged him to try. We had to try. He agreed. For the next 2 months, he kept asking for space. He needed to sort his thoughts. I went to therapy to get to the bottom of why I did what I did. We came to the abandonment conclusion along with the depression and anniversary. It was a rough several sessions. While I was figuring out my shit, he was dealing with his emotions. We hadn't worked on much in those 2 months because I was trying to respect the space he asked for, assuming that once he was ready, we could talk about it, make changes. Come up with a plan to rebuild trust and try to go to couples therapy. He didn't want anything to do with therapy. Instead, he ultimately decided he could not get over this broken trust. He basically kicked me out early this month. I had all my stuff moved out by mid-month. I still think we can make it work, but it doesn't seem like he wants to. He says he still loves me and wants to be with me, but he can't. I should also mention he has had a lot of trauma from physically cheating partners in the past. I can't blame him for the decision he has made, but I cannot express enough that he is the love of my life and I would never do something like this again. I don't know what to do. Do I give it more time? Do I just walk away from this? Do I fight for us? I'm trying to respect his wishes, but also have an overwhelming feeling that we can get through this. I hate myself for what I've done to us. Any advice and thoughts would be much appreciated.